Hello, this is Ryan Mullenbeck, Market Development Agronomist with Cargill out of the Rosetown and Kindersley locations. Harvest is wrapping up and I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about post-harvest weed control. So this time of year we have two things that we can accomplish. We can either take care of weeds that are actively growing now, or we can set ourselves up for a better start in the spring. So weeds that we're looking to target when we're controlling weeds right now are going to be our winter annuals like narrow-leaved hawksbeard, flicksweed, stinkweed, cleavers, any canola that's going to overwinter, and also our perennial weeds, which is our tough-to-kill dandelion and Canada thistle. The main tool that we're going to be using in this case is glyphosate, and we're also going to want to add something else to the tank. By having more than one active in the tank, we're going to have more effective weed control. We're going to help reduce any resistance issues that we may run into, and also we're going to have extended control into next season. Something like a 2,4-D would be a good choice, 5 to 6 ounces at this time of year. Shouldn't have any recropping restrictions. We could also use something like DB878, which is Express and Dicamba. If you know you're going into a cereal next year, Express Pro is going to give you some residual activity. And also we have a product called Distinct, which is dicamba and a unique group 19, which is going to provide you with some control on kochia, Canada thistle, dandelion, narrow-leaf hawksbeard, and sow thistle. For control of winter annuals and perennial weeds, we want to make sure that we're taking care of this probably by around October 15th. And we also want to make sure the weeds are actively growing. So that means that there's about 4 to 6 inches of new growth. The plants are healthy and green, and we haven't had any really hard killing frosts. If we have had a bit of a light frost, we want to make sure that the plants are still growing. We want to go out and make sure that they look healthy and they aren't damaged. And we also want to wait 2 or 3 days before we apply our herbicide. We also want to spray later into the afternoon when the days are nice and warm so that those plants are growing and they're going to take up the herbicide and do a good job. When we're looking to set ourselves up for a better start in the spring, what we're looking to do is to add a product to the soil that the weeds are going to grow up through. And these are going to be some of the products that you're very familiar with, such as Avidex, Treflan, Fortress, products like that, but also some of the relatively newer products like Valterra, Fierce, Focus. And all these products are not going to kill any weeds that are actively growing, but they're going to kill weeds for us in the next spring and make sure that we have that critical weed-free time, which is from planting up into 2 to 3 weeks after the crop has emerged. So by doing this, we're getting the benefit of early weed control. We're also reducing our workload in the spring, and we're able to bring some different modes of action like a group 3, a group 8, a group 15, products that we don't have access to in crop. And with these products, we're looking to go much later into the year when we apply them. You can target late October, early November. As long as the ground isn't completely frozen, you're still able to apply these products because they're controlling weeds next spring, not weeds that are up and growing now. With some of the granular products, we're looking for that cool soil temperature to make sure that they don't gas off and the chemicals available for us next spring. But with the other products like Fierce and Focus, we're just applying them late because we don't need that chemical activate now. We're going to get moisture throughout the winter that's going to activate and get that chemical into the soil water, into the soil profile, so that when the weeds grow through it, they're going to take on the chemical. One thing to watch out for is overall control. Make sure you go out in the spring when you're assessing how good of a job these products did to go out and dig into the soil and see how many weeds were actually killed. Each product, whether it's an Avidex or a Rival or Focus or Fierce, they all have their fit and can all work on everyone's farm and are all good tools to use. So make sure when you're judging how well they work to actually dig up some weeds and check out what actually was killed. Because often what happens is we see some escapes. The chemical worked 80% of the time, but if the weed pressure is so high that even at 80% you see weeds come through and it maybe doesn't look like it did a good job. So both of these strategies, whether we're taking care of weeds now, the winter annuals and the perennials, or we're taking care of weeds in the spring with the soil applied products, are all part of an overall strategy of herbicide layering. Herbicide layering depends upon using multiple modes of action and also applying them at different times of the year so we're not controlling weeds at the same stage in their growth cycle. And overall, what herbicide layering should do should give you better yields and better weed control. We're controlling weeds early on, which is the critical time for that crop to be weed free. We're using modes of action that we don't normally have access to in crop. We're also keeping our weed populations down. Also going to make your weed control in crop more effective because we've eliminated some of the weed population and had fewer weeds to control with the in-crop chemical. Contact your Cargill rep today. We can go over a plan for your farm on how to integrate herbicide layering, how to integrate some of these post-harvest products, and use it as an overall strategy for your chemical plan.